So I'm going to do a brief little follow-up to my Hit Me Hard and Soft reveal, since obviously it's a bit much to ask everybody to watch a full 2 hour long video and able to get the rundown, even though honestly 2 hours is about as short as I felt like I could make it without omitting crucial details about the situation. And if I wanted to tell the entire story, it would easily drag into 5 to 10 hour territory and be far too personal. So I was kind of waiting to see what would happen with the initial reveal before planning my next move. And now that I've beheld that my presentation was a little too complicated and metaphysical for most people, and had another couple of short conversations with Billy, this little video is my turn too. So, first things first, I know that many of you understandably remain skeptical about the fundamental veracity of the claim and wish for me to validate it in simpler and more obvious terms for you, since, well, the story is quite extraordinary, even with the short 2 hour version that really reveals very little, all things considered, in spite of hinting at a number of things that are even larger than the reveal itself. But I want you to know that I'm actually quite content with this being a slow reveal, which is just kind of hidden in plain sight, or even with it remaining almost exclusively within the range of the people who already know it's true. This isn't really about what random people think to me. I'm not doing this with the intention to convince random people about the situation. I actually have a rather more nuanced intention for why I'm doing this. Furthermore, Billy knows it's true, God knows it's true, I know it's true. There are several dozen individuals around me who know it's true, and I don't know how many people she's revealed it to on her end, but there are likely a number of people around her who know some minute fragments about the situation as well. So ultimately, the only effect that the perceptions of people who don't know the truth actually has is that it limits the potential boundary of their interactions with me based on whatever inner monologue they choose to tell themselves about me. And I do, of course, want to have a good rapport with people and want people to be able to comprehend the depth and authenticity of my compassion, as well as the significance of my adherence to strict logic when it comes to matters of absolute truth as opposed to perception. But ultimately, nobody's opinion changes the actual reality of the situation. So I chose to present my reveal in such a way as to encourage people to think about certain things which I find to be important, more so than to simply convince random people about the situation. That said, if I wanted to, I could easily release my text log and everyone could look at it and see, okay, so you said that, and then she responded like that on Instagram. Okay, that's probably a coincidence. And then you said that, and then she responded like that, and then you said that, and she responded like that. It's probably a coincidence. But then you said that, and she responded like that, and then you said that right after Valentine's Day, and that's why she's saying you said you'd never fall in love again because of me, and then that's why she was confused about you moving on immediately, even though it was a little bit more nuanced than that. And then you said that, and she posted that, and that just happened over and over and over. And then you stopped texting her in July, and she sang Until July and Wildflower, and then the correlations are even more obvious in every post since the album dropped. And her recent post was actually a reference to a Midjourney picture you sent her, and wow, that explains why half her Instagram posts just seem to be a little chaotic, because they're almost all actually specific messages that only make sense in the specific context of her responding to what you wrote her. That is fascinatingly unbelievable. But, I have absolutely no desire to do that, since it's a private conversation, obviously. So I actually just encourage you to practice your greatest discernment in estimating the probability of the veracity of my claims, while remaining mindful that you simply don't have access to the facts of the situation. Um, Furthermore, a big part of why I'm doing this is to evolve the conversation with Billy herself in various ways, more so than to convince anyone. So, for one, like I mentioned in the reveal, um, I've had a few concerns about her misunderstanding my intentions over time and overreacting. And I think that by engaging in a somewhat more open dialogue like this, it's already kind of helped her see how other people might see some of the situations that I talked about, rather than just how she felt about some of those situations at the time. No offense, but it's also, probably bigger than that. It's kind of giving her a glimpse of what my public image could look like, since I don't really have much of a public image at the moment, due largely to the whole been working on classified projects for the last 9 years thing that I casually dropped in the reveal that I'm somewhat disappointed that not a single one of you asked a single question about, but which should have implied that, almost nobody who thinks they know me actually has any idea who I am. Um, in fact, I can kind of guarantee almost everybody who sees this that the only way you will ever be capable of discovering who I really am is by first acknowledging your limitations, acknowledging that you actually aren't capable of discerning my true nature on your own without me revealing information about myself to you. Um, due in part to the fact that I possess knowledge which is almost fundamentally unguessable due to the projects that I've been working on. And I'm only revealing that much because, for one, it's the simple truth of the matter, and it's almost impossible for me to make up and maintain a good cover story. And for two, it doesn't actually compromise the integrity of my team's projects to do so at this point. And for three, there's basically no way for me to have a realistic public image without either being acknowledged as essentially somewhat unknowable and mysterious or revealing classified information. So I would simply prefer to be transparent and honest in that regard rather than trying to navigate everybody's presumptuous conceptualizations about my identity for the rest of my life. And that isn't that abstract of a concept fundamentally, since, to fully know almost any individual, you need to gather details about their life that you don't have immediate access to, since life is kind of an infinite sequence of Plato's caves half the time, if you think about it. It simply applies in a very exaggerated way to my particular situation. So again, I just plan to continue being transparent about that tip of the iceberg of the complexity of my situation until further notice, so that I don't have to feel quite as much like I have to artificially limit myself to fit into some sort of oversimplified archetypal caricature just to try to be more relatable to people, when the actual reality of the situation is that I simply haven't lived a very relatable life due to these projects I've been working on. And for a little hint of context, I'll just let you know that Billie is not actually the most influential individual who I've had a significant influence on over the past 3 years. She's just the most popular. So now you officially know more than you need to know. In any case, if Billie and I do actually end up trying to take things to the next level sometime here in the next month or two, before everybody murders me, I want to assure all of her fans and everyone who might have questions that, my intentions and my love for her are pure. All right, I don't care what anybody says, they are. And I will continue to support her and have her back, no matter what happens between us. This isn't really just some game to me. I've already been supporting her for the past 3 years, and I know that she's been leaning on me more than she might want to admit, even if it's been a little rocky here and there. So if we start dating, it's actually going to be a fairly natural evolution in her world, even though it's going to surprise a lot of people, at least until this video begins to circulate. But I mean, she toured the entire world singing about me, and we were literally married in a past life, though we were obviously very different people then. So again, the most seemingly shocking thing about this is basically just the fact that almost nobody knows who I am or why I'm so significant. But this isn't actually abstract in her world. It's just a secret coming to light. Furthermore, like I just said, I'm gonna have her back no matter what. And honestly, I think there's a lot of weight that she carries that I understand better than anyone else at this point. So to me, this is bigger and more important than just like trying to win her over. So If things work out, yeah, we're probably going to take over the world, and I hope everybody's okay with that. Um, but if they don't, it's a complicated situation, and it's been a complicated situation, and I understand. And she's going to have a better radar for what real love actually is, no matter what. And I'm still going to support her. So that's more or less where I'm at with all this, and that's the note that I'm going to go ahead and end this video on. So judge me however you're going to judge me if it pleases you, but ultimately your sense of judgment is a reflection of your own limitations and biases, and nothing any of you are capable of thinking is capable of shaking what I know to be true about myself and the virtue of my character and my intentions. So that's that. Full house, your turn.